Greetings fanboys and fangirls, Jared here with another video review from Fanboys Forever. Today we're actually going to be having a look at the brand new 2022 Galactic Explorer Lego set from the Monkie Kid line. This is set number 80035. It does include 1,356 pieces for the retail price of $129.99 in the United States. The set was released on January 1st, 2022, and for the time being can be exclusively found at the LEGO Shop at Home website in the United States, with presumably an Amazon release following in several months. Let's talk for just a brief moment about what this set even is. Monkie Kid is a theme that LEGO has done for the past couple of years, and it's something that I believe that they have done to try to establish a more firm footing in the Chinese market. It uses the familiar Journey to the West motif, which is of course the ancient Chinese folklore that has become so ingrained in Eastern culture. In the Journey to the West story, Monkie King and all of his friends go on a huge adventure as they go across the earth, all along the way learning lessons, defeating enemies, and conquering it all. There's been many different interpretations of the Monkie King lore, and the latest version of Sun Wukong here is LEGO's own Monkie Kid. This version sees a young Chinese boy be chosen as the Monkie King's replacement so that he can train him to fight for a new generation. For this latest batch of sets, there are a couple of sets that fall into more of an outer space theme. And for as wild as that may sound for an interpretation of Chinese folklore, it's actually not the first time it's been done, with there being a couple of other space-based versions of Journey to the West, particularly some anime versions in the 80s. With all the introductions out of the way, let's take a closer look at this set. There are several different components of this build. The first is this little space station, almost refueling area with the famous LEGO Octane symbol. Of course, this is what they always use for their gas stations, and here it will be what's fueling the giant spaceship. As you can see, we have a support structure that leads all the way up with a little bridge that crosses over into the Galactic Explorer spaceship. This is definitely new territory for the LEGO group when it comes to Monkie Kid builds. This is sort of like the Monkie King staff, only transformed into a giant spaceship. Of course, from the original legend and the original story, we know that the Monkie King staff can metamorphosize itself into just about anything that the situation calls for. Before we get into the features of the ship, we should probably have a look at each of the minifigs. We'll start with MK himself. Monkie Kid here definitely has some familiar face printing, but I really love the expression that they've gone for here. With the back, we get an angrier look, and I really love the hairpiece as always with any of the Monkie Kid figures. Moving on down, we can see that he is the first of the group that we're looking at that features these brand new spacesuit prints, and I'm very impressed with what they did here. There's so much detail here and definitely represents a more modern look at LEGO's ability to print some truly amazing designs on their minifigs. You'll find that with the other suits that they are exactly the same with no variation whatsoever, but that's okay because I really love getting multiples of these. Turning it around to the back, they also feature this lovely print that kind of looks like Monkie King's flying cloud going around the earth, so I really love that. If I could have had it all, I would have loved to have also had Pigsy with this look in the set, and maybe even the Monkie King himself. That would have been great. You can see here that we have Mr. Tang as well. Mr. Tang is of course more of the comic relief a lot of the times. He does come with those brand new chopstick pieces that we also are seeing in the City of Lanterns set. So we did get multiples of those in here too with a couple of extras, so I was really glad to see that. He does include kind of a yummy little dish there that he is snacking on, and I especially like his emotive facial print there. Very impressive. If we turn it around to the other side, Mr. Tang has a more neutral expression. Next up, we have Sandy. There's a couple of new sets that Sandy is featured in this season that has him looking like this. Of course, we're used to Sandy being one of those really large big figs, and here they have scaled him down just to be a regular scaled minifigure. It doesn't appear that this will be an in-continuity thing for the show or anything like that, because there is a poster for the new series, and he does look the same, but you never know. Maybe it will happen later. He does have the cool orange kind of mohawk piece and the beard that gives him his unique look. There's something about this that I really like. I almost wish that Sandy had been presented like this from the very beginning. It's much less cumbersome to make him work with all the sets, and he just looks fantastic. As you can imagine, Sandy does not feature alternative facial expression. Sandy and Monkey Kid both have weapons that we will look at when we see them inside of the ship. Here we have May. She's another really impressive minifigure in the group. They've really done a great job using her usual hairpiece and her really cool dragon sword that she has, kind of like this giant lightsaber. But I'm really impressed by the alternative face printing because she has what appears to be a Saiyan Scouter over her eyes, so it really kind of gives her that spacey look. And on the back, we have this super happy winky face. With the main cast of hero minifigs out of the way, we'll now look at the villains, starting with Savage. Savage here is a minion of the evil macaque that is a duplicate, and I really like how this turned out. From the giant, almost chainsaw staff to the crazy printing on the chest there with the evil macaque logo, which is kind of a perversion of the Monkey Kid logo. He has the cool kind of side shoulder pad there, and on the back you do get the monkey tail and some really nice back printing for the armor as well. So I think this turned out to be really nice looking. Finally, we have Rumble here, the other minion of the evil macaque. Not only is he a cool minifig that uses mostly the same printing as Savage, you can see that he has a couple of swords, and he has this neat brick-built backpack. Not only is it a cool-looking backpack, but it also has all of this neat purple exhaust coming out of it. And of course, the wings are movable, so you do get some posability, as well as these side thrusters. So you can do all sorts of different things with him, and I think he turned out really nice, so he looks terrific. Since the Monkey Kid crew is going into space, I suppose they decided that taking a real cat into space just wouldn't work. So instead of Mo, which is obviously Sandy's cat because of the crazy matching haircut, they have taken Robot Mo into space here. I really like Robot Mo. He's not exactly a minifig, but instead he comes in the form of a brick-built animal or character with lots of really nice articulation since it is brick-built. You can see the paws are able to flex down. You can see you can turn the mohawk if you so desire. There's even the tail that has some articulation. So I really like it. Honestly, from the front, I'm kind of getting some Garfield vibes. I think it's the shape of the ears and the eyes along with the orange fur or mohawk. So it's kind of funny. Since we've looked at the minifigs, let's go ahead and look at the build leading to the spaceship. One tradition of the Monkey Kid sets is that lots of times there's kind of a little mini build that comes with the larger sets. This includes usually small buildings or little diorama pieces or arcades or restaurants, just anything. This time they've done something a little different. I'm not necessarily sure it counts as a mini building, but instead we get kind of a little launch area, like a staging ground for a rocket, something you might see at NASA or SpaceX, something like that, albeit very simplified here. We have a couple of different areas to pay attention to, including this little satellite array right here. There's a couple of antennae in the background. Down here we have a little console that you can actually spin around. It just kind of rotates right there. And that is a printed piece, so that was a really nice change of pace. We do have the Octan Gas Company represented. We also get some removable tools here, as if they were needing it to work on the rocket. So it doesn't look necessarily horrible from the other side as well, and is fairly complete looking. Going on up, you can see that we have kind of a support structure that goes to the rocket. So I think it works as a really cool little mini build that goes with the space shuttle. However, it's not really the main event. Let's go ahead and have a look at the actual ship. What's cool is that it balances very well and feels extremely stable when placed like an actual rocket getting ready for blast off. So it's a really cool option to have. Starting at the bottom, you can see that there's these cool wings on the side. There's a giant thruster at the bottom that we'll get a better look at in a second, along with kind of an artsy cloud motif. It almost reminds you of some old Asian artwork. There's some sticker details on these turrets on the side, and these are shooters that kind of throw out a little transparent red missile. You can see that we have some Monkey Kid symbols, and you can already tell that there's definitely a visual motif going on here, where it does look like the Monkey King's staff moving all the way up. We have some more sticker detailing with these little side thrusters, and even some transparent windowing on the side there. The same can be said of the cockpit right there, and you can see the jetpack that is wearable, and we'll get into that in a minute. More of that cloud motif on the side, sticking with that kind of ancient Chinese folklore look. Moving on to the tip top of the rocket, we go with some really nice looking gold, including a transparent cockpit with all the cool little details. Of course, both sides of the Galactic Explorer look exactly the same from side profile, but I thought it was worth taking a look that way anyway. The bottom's not necessarily anything to write home about, and it's quite obvious that it's really not meant to be viewed from this angle. However, this does work as a very sturdy support. Of note is this hollow part. What's interesting here is I thought it had maybe a greater purpose than it did, but honestly, the only thing you're supposed to do with it is put Monkie Kid's staff, which he does include right there, I suppose because he wouldn't have it if he had transformed it into the ship, and an extra missile. Although it's nothing we haven't seen before, Monkie Kid looks great with his staff. And here we have a look at the Galactic Explorer head-on. As well as from the unexpectedly ornate back thruster area, I was particularly impressed to see the shiny gold pieces making up the bottom of the thruster, as if Monkie Kid's staff was lit up. I also really like the trans orange pieces, and think that they do a great job of contrasting with not only the gold, but also the turquoise blue pieces as well. We'll go ahead and get a look at the interior. You can see that this doesn't hinge, but it just removes very easily. And we have the front cockpit area. There's all sorts of little gears and controls inside of here, 2 shift sticks, and a stickered panel. If we're going to have MK pilot this thing, it's as good a time as any to take one of the 4 included space helmets and switch it onto the figure. Any of the minifigures are capable of wearing these helmets, and just like most classic space characters in LEGO, you see that the trans visor is able to go up and down. I love seeing that red visor color, and seeing that trans element always makes me think of Ice Planet 2002, one of my favorite old LEGO themes. So now that we have the space helmet on, you can also see that there's some really nice turquoise on the back. This is something they didn't have to do, and really improve the cohesion of that color scheme. Now that we have MK suited up, we'll set him right here in his faux seat, and Monkie Kid looks fantastic, ready to pilot the ship. Now that we have MK in there, we'll go ahead and seal him back up. With Monkie Kid driving the ship, we will go ahead and take this section off. Now all of these are easily removable, and once again, I think it's so cool that some of these details, like this, is even brick built right here with little gold pieces. I'm very impressed by that. Looking down, you can see we have a little bit of storage. We have a jetpack that's actually wearable by any of the minifigs with a harness on the front. Mr. Tang seems ill-equipped for this mission, so I figure he could use the help. And as you can see, it just looks great on the figures. It gives that added element of bulk, and it has kind of a classic space vibe to it, which is something that I keep coming back to with this ship. Everything feels very classic LEGO space. I don't necessarily mean the sets of the 70s. I'm really talking about some of the sets of the 80s and early 90s, like Space Police and Blacktron and M-Tron and, as I said earlier, Ice Planet. So I really like that vibe. Mr. Tang is given a space helmet here, and it really completes the look. So any of your characters can have this cool kind of outer space ranger look to them, and it really does remind me of the Space Police, sort of similar to the new revised Space Police minifigure that came out. If I had one complaint about the jetpack, it would be that they didn't include enough for the main cast. I wish that we could have gotten 4 of these things in the set. However, it's something that I could see myself maybe picking up a few extra pieces on the bricks and pieces section of the LEGO website so that I can outfit the other members of the crew. Turning the ship around, you can see a little bit better look at some of the other details on the inside, including this storage clip houses Sandy's gun. Given this, Sandy is now ready for whatever befalls them in the void of space. Now, one thing you might be wondering is, can you get the helmet on Sandy? Well, not like this. Let's remove these 2 hair pieces. LEGO was kind enough to print an extra beard on Sandy's face. Of course, it's always kind of tough to print orange over top of practically any other color that's any darker, but it ends up looking pretty decent. With the visor up, Sandy definitely looks like himself. Down, it kind of does funny things to some of the blue coloring on his face, so it's kind of funny to see almost an illusion there, making his skin look much darker than you would initially think. However, I still think it's a cool look, almost like a negative version of the colors of his face. Both of these side panels actually easily come off. Interestingly, this feature really isn't advertised anywhere on the box. I always found that one of the biggest problems of these sorts of areas in LEGO sets is that light can't really get in, but with the easy removal of those 2 panels, it seems like that solves the problem almost completely. With these chairs, there is of course enough room to seat all 4 I really love the look of this, and it goes a long way in making it feel like a little playset, and little is the operative word. There's not a lot of space there, but there's just enough to give you something interesting. You almost get sort of a window effect when these panels are removed, and you can see that on the little hollow screens, there's some sticker application to make up some of the detail. And of course, moving along the hallway, you have things like a fire extinguisher, a walkie-talkie, and some other little details. So I really do like the interior. This actually flips around, and you can actually move this little brace out of the way. And on the inside, you get a little rover done in Team Monkey Kids colors. I really like this, especially the atypical look of the wheels, how one in the middle is kind of lower than the rest. I think it's really cool. So no matter what kind of terrain they come across, they'll have a vehicle to get around on whatever planet it may be. Here I'd put Sandy on rover duty, because it's kind of funny to see such a huge character be on this little vehicle. But I like it. It does, once again, remind me of classic space. Excellent. Standing the ship back up, you can see that having this area kind of gives it some playset functionality. If you want to, you could even take a character like the robot Mo here and set the cat right up here. Even a character like Savage here, as long as their weapon is on the outside, could stand, and they peg in. So it's great to have a little bit of extra space there. You want to use it as a prison? Sure, why not? Go ahead and put the rail up. And here we have what I believe will be the little collectible item slash MacGuffin for this wave. And it's these little rings. You can see that this one is the green one with the green flame shooting out from it. However, if we remove this, it gives you a tiny little area. There's just enough room to put a minifig back there. However, I'm not 100% sure that that's what you're meant to do. Maybe this is more meant to be like an engine area with this over it, but I definitely think that if you wanted to, you could trap one of your minifigs here or have them setting here or something. There's a lot of possibilities. There's something kind of fun about just having it go over like that and then recompleting the whole staff motif. I think it's pretty cool. And of course, the one last little action feature are these missiles that shoot. All you have to do is press to the side and woohoo! It shoots with a force of 1,000 winds. It's worth mentioning that if you remove that panel up there, the bridge from the structure we looked at earlier makes a whole lot of sense because it leads directly into this. Much like in a real space shuttle, where people strap themselves in seats kind of sideways or upside down before the ship actually takes off. Seeing the colors in this lighting, it looks a little less green and a little more blue, and it kind of reminds me of the old original G1 Ultra Magnus. I can't be the only one. For a fun little scale comparison, here is the Demon Bull King, and you can see that even though this was a fairly large size set, the Galactic Explorer definitely dwarfs him, and that's very impressive when you think about how tall this thing really is. So looking at the Monkey Kid Galactic Explorer set, I have to say it's one of those rare sets that's kind of a silver bullet. It's detailed enough and vast enough to please AFOLs. It also is great for kids who would love just a colorful, really neat Lego set. And I'm continually impressed by the ingenuity and the creativity of the Lego designers when it comes to the Monkey Kid theme. There's a reason why Monkey Kid is currently my favorite theme on the market, and this set just goes to show why. It's extremely sturdy, it's very well designed, and it's so colorful and fun that it gives me those classic 80s and 90s space vibes. The value is there, and the fun is there, so I definitely suggest that you go out and pick this one up on Lego's website. Alright friends, I want to thank you for watching today, and of course want to remind you to like and subscribe if possible, because we have all sorts of cool content coming up on the channel. As always, I just want to say God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Fanboy out.